The label didn't describe it, it created it. There was a town where nothing had names. No one had ever agreed on what anything was called, so things simply were. A body could fall, stop moving, grow cold, and no one knew what to say about it. They would gather around it, not in panic, not in grief, but in a strange kind of silence. Because without a word, there was no event to react to. No tragedy, no crime, no ending. Just something happening. Or maybe not even that, because without language, even happening had no meaning. One day, a man arrived carrying a book. In the book were words, and beside each word, a definition. He stood in the center of the town and pointed to the still body on the ground. "This," he said, "is death." The people leaned in. Death. A sound, now tied to what they were seeing. He opened the book and read aloud what death meant. And something shifted. Not in the body, but in the minds watching it. Where there had been stillness, there was now urgency. Where there had been quiet, there was now reaction. Where there had been no story, there was now a beginning, a middle, and an end. Another person asked, "How did it happen?" The man flipped the pages. "There are 5 ways," he said. And just like that, the town was given doors. Homicide, suicide, accident, natural, undetermined. Now the body didn't just lie there, it had to be placed somewhere. A category had to be chosen. A cause had to be assigned. And once the word was chosen, everything else followed behind it like obedient soldiers. If it was called homicide, a killer had to appear. If it was called suicide, a self had to be divided against itself. If it was called accident, randomness had to be blamed. If it was called natural, then nature had to be credited. If it was called undetermined, then the mind would keep searching, restless, until it found something to land on. The label didn't describe the event, it constructed it. Then came another shift. The townspeople began speaking the words to each other, repeating them, agreeing on them, teaching them to their children. And with every repetition, the words grew heavier, more solid, more unquestioned. Soon, no one remembered what it was like before the book arrived. No one questioned whether the word created the meaning, or the meaning created the word. Because now, the language had taken root. And once language takes root, it doesn't just describe reality, it organizes it. It filters it. It tells you what you're looking at before you've ever actually looked. A person would see a still body and say, "death." But what they were really seeing was the word. They would hear homicide, and suddenly there was a villain, a motive, a story of good and evil. They would hear natural, and suddenly it was acceptable, expected, almost peaceful. Same body, different word, different world. And no one stopped to ask the question that would undo the entire system. What was it before it was called anything? Not death, not homicide, not natural, not even a body. Before the word, what was there? Because if the word came after, then everything built on that word came after too. The fear, the meaning, the entire structure of what it is. And if it came after, then it wasn't discovered, it was made, submitted for your consideration. A quiet town where nothing had a name, and therefore nothing had a story. Until one day, a word was introduced. A simple word, spoken with certainty, defined with confidence, and accepted without question. And in that moment,
what had merely been became something else entirely. Not because it changed, but because it was called something. A label, gently placed, yet heavy enough to carry meaning, judgment, and consequence. From that single word came 5 more. 5 doors, each promising explanation, each demanding agreement. And once chosen, each one building a world around itself, complete with causes, characters, and conclusions. But here's the part that tends to go unnoticed. The word did not follow reality. Reality followed the word. And once a thing is named, it rarely returns to what it was before, if it ever was anything at all. So the next time a word is spoken with certainty, the next time a label is applied and accepted without question, pause, just long enough to notice what's actually happening. Not out there, but in here. Because the moment the word is accepted, the world rearranges itself to match it.
And the question that remains, quiet, almost hidden, is not what was seen, but what was said.